Last weekend, the video game industry was firing on all cylinders with its E3 replacement, Summer Games Fest, which is, it's whatever, man. It's not a shade on, the old hype days of years gone by, but some of the press conferences, you know what? I listened to a fair few of them, and I gotta be honest, man. Like, when it comes to presentations, they weren't that bad. Okay, the Summer Games Fest proper, the one hosted by Jeff Keighley, it was basically game after game after game after game after game. It wasn't until about the last quarter of the show when it started to get overly corporate with a bunch of different blatant ads as opposed to really pushing a new game. And then you had the Among Us creators come out and say, hi, we got this big indie game fund, and we're going to have a TV show. It's like, for the most part, it was just kind of announcement of game after game, but there was a very strong through line on a lot of this stuff, and for the Summer Games Fest show proper, nothing really tickled my fancy. Like, there was a lot of games announced. Maybe that Phantom Blade Zero and Monster Hunter Wilds. I played a couple of Monster Hunter games. They're pretty fun, but they're kind of disposable pleasure in that amount, but it looks fine, I guess. And then, hey, we've talked a lot of shit about Microsoft here in the past little while, but they really brought it with their show, okay? That was another example of game after game after game after game. No real downtime across 2 hours, and a lot of it was pretty strong, man, given the fact that they got Gears of War 6. Well, not really Gears of War 6 in so much as it's a prequel, knowing that their sequel characters don't quite stack up to the likes of Marcus Phoenix, Coltrane, Baird, and Dominic, so they're going to run back the Emergence Day, which is kind of, if you're a fan of Gears of War, you'd probably understand the day that the Locusts, broke through after humanity was fighting a war beforehand, and then that ended up changing the global course of history. Like, that was always something that Gears fans would theorize, so to be able to finally play that, I would also say that it's probably a little bit too late for anybody to really care about that, but Doom's reboot trilogy coming to a head with the Dark Ages, like this trailer right here, pretty graphic, pretty good, and I'll be honest, man, id Software, id Studios, whatever the hell they call it now, under the Bethesda umbrella, so either they perform or they get shut down, but it looks good, man. It looks quite good, and I remember playing Doom 2016, and that thing was optimized. It was probably the best optimized game I've ever played in my life, and hell of a lot of fun. I've heard mixed things. I haven't got around to playing Eternal. That one could end up being the weakest in the trilogy, but there's a lot of hype behind the Dark Ages here, and a lot of people are looking at that and going, you know what, Xbox, you might actually have something on your hands right here. But then the rest of the industry had to kick in and give their 2 cents on it. And, well, they also had a taste. Or was this on Summer Games Fest? I think it was on the Summer Games Fest one, right? A lot of it just ended up running together because there was no real distinctive characteristics between all of the different shows. Oh, wow, strong, empowered girl boss is going to go out there and she's going to go ahead and beat down the evil bad guy at the end of it. Very stunning, very brave. Definitely not a cliche and definitely not a trope at this point in time where you have your stunning and brave female protagonist with her side-shaved haircut. There you go. With a wacky little partner. You might be touting a bow at some point in time, but save the bow and stick in a Millennium Falcon replacement because we got more gameplay of Star Wars not Star Wars Galaxy, but rather Star Wars Outlaws. And it looks like they actually did something right and something better than a much more expensive game, which actually at this point in time I don't really know what would have ended up being more expensive, Star Wars Outlaws or stupid Starfield, but they actually have it figured out where, hey, landing a ship, going from planet to planet and then entering atmosphere as opposed to just simply, cut into a loading screen. It looks like they actually got it figured out. Now, as for the rest of the game, it looks like it's going to be completely and totally generic Ubi slop. But cool, man, a re-entry sequence where it just goes and it cuts to the town where you're gonna, traverse a couple of towers and unlock some stupid quests as long as you paid the requisite amount of money, because here's gonna ultimately be the problem when it comes to Star Wars, because this is what Ubisoft is doing moving forward. You can have the privilege of only paying $70, unless you're up in Canada, then you have the luxury of paying $90 to Ubisoft, and that'll get you the basic edition. Oh, and if you pre-order, then you can get some pre-order bonus. bonus. That's not actually like Jabba's palace or anything like that. Oh wait, you got to pay a little bit more for that. You could get the gold edition for just a measly another $40, and that'll give you a season 1 pass. They have lofty aspirations for this. So you get the base game, you get the pre-order bonus, you can play the game 3 days early. Ooh, and then you also get the first of many season passes. That's not even going to have all the DLC. There was a point in time where a season pass would actually include all of the content, but the 360 and the PS3, that was a long time ago. Or if you really want to enter atmosphere in a believable and realistic sense, if you want to pilot your way down to a cutscene that'll allow you to land in Mos Eisley, well, brother, do I got a deal for you. You can get the base game, the pre-order bonus, 3 days early play, the season pass, the Rogue Infiltrator bundle, the Sabak Shark bundle, and a digital art book for the low price of $129.99. Or you can sign up for Ubisoft's subscription service for a mere $17.99 a month. Doesn't that sound like quite the deal? Fucking blow me, because ultimately you're going to have to stare at a character that looks like Sigourney Weaver on 6 months of TRT. What the fuck, man? Are you supposed to be encouraged by this? Like, understand that we're running back old stuff. I talked about Star Wars Outlaws before. I had the same critiques. It's like, cool, you wanted to make a Han Solo game, but you also wanted to put a chick in it and make it lame. This is what you ended up coming out with. Okay, Ma'am Solo with her goofy little alien, thought we had a picture of, but no. You got your Chewie stand-in. Okay, you got your boring generic dialogue. You got another female bad guy that by the end is not actually going to be bad, just simply going to be misunderstood. And hey, you remember Jabba? Remember Jabba the Hutt? You can go play a Jabba the Hutt's palace as long as you get one of the versions that has a season pass. You could play a Jabba's palace. Remember Jabba? Remember Mos Eisley? It's like, that's Star Wars, man. That's a lot of these franchises. They don't ever advance any stories. It's just simply running back old stuff, becoming self-referential. Star Wars is definitely guilty of this, but so many other franchises that are out there. Don't further the story. Don't do anything new and exciting. Just want to play it safe because the budgets on these games get astronomical. But let's also take a look at what else was on display and see if you can catch a common through line, because you have not Han Solo, then you've got Joanna Dark from Perfect Dark, which if you're an old head like me, you might remember Perfect Dark from the N64? Or maybe Perfect Dark Zero from the launch of the Xbox 360. Brother, if you just wanted to make another female FPS, okay, just get a new IP, especially if you want to make her not look like Joanna Dark. You want to make her look like Joanna Dark Chocolate. Like, what's with that jawline? It's always with the jawline, man, okay? And there's nothing inherently wrong with a defined jawline on a woman. Sometimes, it looks pretty good. It's just, they've always got the same Karen haircut that they believe to be a stoic demeanor, but just ends up being bitchy and disconnected. It's just, they want to put a woman in it because they think my representation is more important. But in reality, gamers have been playing women for a long time. Girls who like these types of games, even though they're going off the faulty premise that half of video game players are actually women. It's like, yeah, cool. If you want to go ahead and put another female in Candy Crush, I'm sure that'll work out extremely well. But when has this representation shit ever actually done anything to increase the audience? It never has. Played Perfect Dark back on the N64. Guys who were done playing GoldenEye for the evening and wanted to go and try out something new. Who was playing Perfect Dark Zero? Well, nobody after Halo 3 came out. And who has been opining for third Perfect Dark? Oh, everybody who still remembers the halcyon days of Rare Entertainment in general. Oh yeah, guys that are about my age, and heavy emphasis on guys, because Joanna Dark looked like that. Okay, you notice the difference? See the difference? Even if you're trying to do this in order to capture a female audience, women don't like to see butchy women. Okay, there's a small. You're already trying to chase after a small female AAA gaming base. Okay, but the whole girl boss thing, it doesn't sell, man. But because Microsoft can just simply dump these games on Game Pass, they never really have to say whether or not a game was profitable. So yeah, they can just continue to IP mine as best as they can and just ruin beloved franchises time and time again. Gamers are roasting Microsoft, Xbox developer, The Initiative, and Crystal Dynamics. Of course it's Crystal Dynamics, the same idiots behind the uglification of Lara Croft. Another gaming icon that, guess what, everybody enjoyed playing. It wasn't because she was a woman, it's because the Tomb Raider games back in the cut, they were fun. Imagine that, you draw an audience when you make a fun game. Following gameplay reveal of Perfect Dark during Xbox Games showcase in 2024. And like I said, the last outing of Joanna Dark, Perfect Dark Zero, came out at the launch of the Xbox 360. There's been rumors, there's been, I don't even know if there was like leaked gameplay, leaked concept footage, but Perfect Dark 3 has been out there for 2 decades at this point. Better part of. So now that we finally have confirmation that a reboot's out there, okay, the company released a gameplay reveal for their Perfect Dark reboot that sees Agent Joanna Dark arrive in Garden City, and she's tasked on preventing an attack by a man named Carrington. Because of course it is, man. It's one of those things. Like when it came to those the conferences that I was talking about, Summer Games Fest proper one, the Xbox one, like I was just listening to them, and then I just went back, to fill in the context for some of the games that I thought were important. But in listening to all the announcements, okay, it was so goddamn homogenous. It was just strong, empowered girl boss, bad male guy who's just simply trying to accrue more power, and contrived dialogue outside of like Street Fighter and Fatal Fury and couple of the other indie titles. What was that stupid bean game? Like that looks fun. Like that just looks like a stupid video game, and that's what people are more than likely going to be super excited to play out of the entire slate that's out there. The goofy ass bean game is going to end up probably getting the most downloads out of everything. Because it's not going to be Perfect Dark. It's going to be a generic shooter coming out at a point in time where everybody's just about done with generic shooters. For as good as Call of Duty does every year, there's Call of Duty fans. There's Fortnite fans. Generic shooters, there's a reason why Microsoft has fallen off so hard. They hopped so hard on the shooter genre and never really developed another skill. It's like the NBA prospect who can drive hard to the rim but never develops a mid-range or a long-range game. You're good for a couple of seasons and then you're done. It's the reason why Sony's dying a slow death, because there's the Snoy games that are out there, the third-person action-adventure game that's just basically an updated version of an N64 collectathon, and they get mocked ruthlessly for that, but they turned all of their IPs into that. Now they're having to try to latch onto PC by making every one of their ports tethered to their PSN accounts. It's such a wild situation that they have over there. Best of luck to you on that one with your $300-400 million budgets on a console that can just never ever support them when you're going exclusive, and then piss off PC port enthusiasts by locking them down with one of the least secure services ever, with a negligible or rather non-existent benefit for signing up for a PSN. It's just a couple of clicks. Why are you so butthurt about that? No, it's just another place to put your information for a company that just is known for leaking at this point in time. Just handing over your autonomy to put yourself under another set of rules and terms of service that can just change on a dime and strip you of all of your digital rights. No, there's nothing wrong with that at all, you smooth-brained idiots. But Sony's another can of worms. You got Xbox with their girl jaws, okay, and they aren't done there because Fable. Hey, you remember Fable? No, of course not, because the first one came out on the OG Xbox, not the Xbox One. There was no Fable games on that one. I think there was a planned Kinect one that didn't end up coming out, and if there was, it was so goddamn forgettable, everybody mind-wiped it on that one. And then, you had Fable 2 come out right at the beginning of the 360, and then Fable 3 that everybody shat on towards the end of the 360. And this is another game like Perfect Dark that has been in development hell for years, and this is the best that they can come out with. Another ugly character when this game was created, when you could create your own character. For God's sakes, man. Nobody wants this stuff. This is Western game development at its absolute worst. There was a point in time, man, where when you would hear the announcement of a brand new action RPG from the West, and you would be excited about it. Back during the powerful days of BioWare, when Bethesda was cooking, or at least some of their magic, still working on people with their outdated game design not being exposed to the masses, or maybe this was early enough, where at least Oblivion seemed cutting edge, and Fallout 3 and New Vegas were still new enough for people to not, openly mock them and criticize them for their, at least at that point in time, 5 years out of vogue gameplay loops. But no, people like the story of New Vegas, I get it, whatever. shit's so boring. But there was a point in time, yeah, where JRPGs, Japanese Eastern developers, were looked at and it was like, oh, that shit's kind of cringe, and you would actually look forward to Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, previously mentioned Bethesda output. Do you remember the hype around Skyrim with its release, November 11th, 2011? You remember that? That shit was crazy. I've played like less than 5 hours. I don't even think that much, maybe a couple of hours. I've installed some mods for Skyrim and that's about it. But people have thousands of hours on those games. But now at this point in time, you hear a Western developer come out and you just immediately know, oh my god, what is it going to be? Is it going to be heavy-handed with the message? Is it going to have a girl boss? Is it going to have ugly characters? And in 2024, you can be certain of at least one of those things, where you're going to be getting all of those things. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.